Very good. You may proceed.
Please state your full name for the record.
It's Detective Trey McCulla.
How are you employed?
I am employed by the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office.
How long have you been with the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office?
Roughly a little over 10.5 years.
Prior to joining Jacksonville Sheriff's Office, do you have any prior law enforcement experience?
I do.
What was that?
I was a deputy at Bradford County Sheriff's Office for 1.5 years, and then from there, I went to the Baker County Sheriff's Office for 3.5 years, and then from there, I started my career at the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office.
What currently is your position with the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office?
I am currently assigned as a gang detective in the at the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office.
How long have you been a gang detective?
A little over 4.5 years.
How many detectives are in the gang unit?
There's 12.
What gang are you specifically assigned to cover?
6 block.
Prior to becoming a gang detective with Jacksonville Sheriff's Office, as a patrol officer with Jacksonville Sheriff's Office, did you have occasion to respond to incidences involving the gang war between ATK 1200 and 6 block?
Yes, ma'am.
Approximately how many incidents did you respond to before even joining the gang unit?
I couldn't give you an exact number. The area that I was assigned to ride and patrol was like in the heart of the 1200 out east area. So over the years, I couldn't give you an exact number, but there were numerous.
What were the years when you were in patrol at the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office assigned to the heart of that area?
That would have been from 2016 to 2018, like 2019.
Is that as long as there has been disputes between those groups?
Are you asking me if that's when they started, or did they start prior to that?
No, during that time period when you were working.
Yes, ma'am.
Prior to that, has there been other groups that were kind of the predecessors of, let's start with 6 block.
Yes.
What groups were the predecessors of 6 block?
I think historically, if you go back, it was the 45th Street Gang, and from there it went to PCE.
Is that short for Problem Child Entertainment?
Yes, ma'am.
As well as, I'm going to ask about ATK. Was there a predecessor group or a group that ATK evolved from, or
Yes.
was a subset of?
Yes, ma'am.
What was that?
I believe it was called the Youngin Gang.
Youngin Gang. And when we talk about the Youngin Gang that preceded ATK, was there a specific individual that was known as a gang member, Youngin Gang, that continued into ATK?
Yes, ma'am.
Who was that?
His name was Kenyon Bullard, and he goes by Youngin Ace.
Youngin Ace. Did you receive specialized training in order to become a detective in the gang unit?
Yes, ma'am, I have.
What type of training did you receive?
I've attended numerous conferences put on by the FGIA, which is the Florida Gang Investigators Association. I've attended numerous classes throughout my career at the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office that's put on through HIDA, and other classes that we've kind of had like in-house with other previous gang detectives and whatnot.
As a detective in the gang unit, what are the daily duties and responsibilities?
Just to monitor whatever gang that you're assigned to, whether that's social media, following any updated trends, and trying to prevent any violent crime occurring throughout the city of Jacksonville.
And even though you're specifically assigned to 6 block, are you familiar with their rival gangs as well as other gangs in the Jacksonville area?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you and other detectives in your unit share information and assist one another with investigations?
We do, yes.
Now I'm going to ask you about the different types of gangs. You are familiar with the Florida statute 874, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Familiar with the criteria for what it is to be considered a criminal gang, as well as the criteria established by statute for what constitutes a gang member, as well as a gang associate, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Are there different types of gangs?
Yes, ma'am.
And how would you describe 6 block, the gang that you are assigned to?
It's a neighborhood gang, so there's a lot of similarities, with the national, gang. As far as 6 block goes, it clearly meets the Florida State statute under 874 as a criminal gang, but they're more of like neighborhood, like hybrid gangs, whereas in your national gangs, you see like a hierarchy, a structure where it's, organized. What we have seen and what we've experienced in Duval County is, more of like the neighborhood hybrid stuff where there's no hierarchy, so forth.
And when you talk about national gangs, nationally recognized gangs, can you give us an example of that, what you're talking about?
Sure. So like your Bloods and your Crips are national gangs. And usually from my training and experience, there's some type of like hierarchy and structure. Whereas versus in the gangs that we deal with, or at least in Jacksonville, most of them, there's not a lot of structure or organization.
So in those nationally recognized gangs, there's actually a hierarchy where you have a leader who calls the shots and gives orders. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
In these hybrid gangs, there is no such hierarchy.
No, ma'am.
And according to 874, the criminal gang definition, in order to be a criminal gang, it can have a formal or informal organization or association or group even. Is that correct?
That's correct.
As long as there are 3 or more members?
3 or more members.
And what is one of the primary activities of this group?
To either commit delinquent or, criminal acts. And they usually have a common name or, color or, hand symbol.
Was 6 block, was that documented by the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office as a criminal gang?
Yes, ma'am.
When did that occur?
That occurred in August of 2019.
Was that before you joined the criminal gang unit at the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office?
Yes, ma'am.
And was that documented by others that had been in your unit before you were assigned to the gang unit?
Yes, ma'am.
And is it part of the gang unit to keep that documentation and maintain that documentation even when there is a successor detective that takes over that role?
Yes, ma'am.
And would you have reviewed all of that documentation when you took over the assignment, being assigned specifically to 6 block?
Yes, ma'am.
When was specifically 6 block documented by the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office as a criminal gang?
In August of 2019.
And did that documentation, did that include naming 3 or more members at that time that were identifiable as criminal gang members in that group, identifiable group?
Yes, ma'am. I believe there was actually 4 members that were documented under whenever the criminal gang 6 block was documented.
Was Charles Jones one of those original criminal gang documented members?
Yes, ma'am.
Was he also documented as a 6 block gang member at the time?
He was.
Who were the other individuals that were documented alongside of him?
The other 3, including Charles Jones, was Kenyon White, Felix Busay, and Derek Norse.
And was there documentation for that field incident report that outlined the different criminal activity which was the primary activity of this particular group?
There was.
And what sort of criminal activity was Charles Jones and other members of his group engaged in order to qualify as a criminal gang pursuant to Florida statute?
Some of the incidents that were, notated in that documentation, there were numerous violent crimes, numerous drug arrests involving firearms, where several individuals have, were sentenced to prison. They clearly showed a style of dress and a, common hand sign that they would often flash, which, clearly under the Florida State statute would, qualify them, as a criminal gang in the state of Florida.
And going back to that definition or the criteria of criminal gang, what was the gang sign or hand sign for 6?
It was, would you like me to demonstrate? Or
Yes, sir.
It was just a 6 like this.
Was there another hand sign that was used and designated by other members of 6 block?
There was a K that they was in reference to Kendra Austin, who died in 2016, and they would flash the K like this.
And is that common to gangs, hybrid gangs, when they are either utilizing style of dress or hand signs, that it can relate to a deceased member who has died in this gang war.
Yes, ma'am.
And then I'm going to go to style of dress for 6 Block. Was there a style of dress adopted by this group, 6 Block, back when it was first documented?
Yes, ma'am.
Can you tell us what the style of dress was, or what was the evidence of that for 6 Block to designate that you were a member of that group?
Well, there have been several, but a few of them were Lawrence Davis. He went by Trady. He was murdered in June of 2018, I believe, and they often wore like T-shirts with his face on it. They had shirts with Kendra Austin, the one I previously mentioned. There were several other styles of dress. There were pendants they would wear, like chains with the, like similar to this, but it would be like a picture of the fallen member who had passed away.
And going back to the primary activity is the commission of criminal or delinquent acts. During this time when 6 Block is being documented as a criminal gang, is there a war and a dispute with another group of individuals when they are first documented?
Yes, ma'am.
And who would that war be?
Who would the war be against?
Yes, sir.
It would be ATK and 1200.
And is based on some of the documentation, again, for the primary activities of the commission of the criminal acts that this group is participating in, is there also been documentation, again, on social media, either through posts or through the posting of drill rap music to show that those criminal acts were for the primary purpose of benefiting the gang?
There has.
Can you give us a couple of examples of specifically this time period when 6 Block was first designated as a criminal gang in Jacksonville?
So anytime a rival gang member would be murdered, they would oftentimes post on social media with different, laughing emojis, or they would make a statement, referencing the victim of that violent crime, and they would oftentimes, post it on social media, whether it be, Instagram, Facebook, or, all the, social media platforms out there.
Your Honor, at this time we'd introduce into evidence States Exhibit 34 and 84C.
Okay, any objection? Mr. Gonzalez?
Yes, sir.
No new objections, Your Honor.
Okay, any new objections? Mr. Sonardi?
No, Your Honor, my continuing objection.
Okay, Ms. Wise?
That's a small one.
Yes.
No objection.
Okay, Mr. Petrides?
No objection, but is it 84A or C?
C.
84C.
That was B that came in.
No objection.
Okay, admitted.
Detective McCulla, who is being depicted in States Exhibit 34?
That is Charles Jones.
And you said at the same time that 6 Block was documented by the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office as an official criminal gang. Was Charles Jones, was he also documented as a criminal member of 6 Block?
That's correct. At the time 6 Block was documented as a criminal gang, he was one of the 4 individuals that was documented on that same documentation.
Did Charles Jones, did he have well-known nicknames at the time that he was referred to by others in the gang as well as the public?
Yes, he did.
What were those nicknames?
He went by Fulio, 6, Little 6. His Instagram handle was Julio Fulio, but in Duval County, everybody referred to him as Fulio.
And are you familiar with the different 11 criteria set out by the legislature which can be a factor in determining whether or not somebody qualifies as a criminal gang member?
Yes, ma'am.
At the time when Charles Jones was first documented as a criminal gang member of 6 Block, what were the criteria that he met under this statute 87404?
I would have to refer back to his documentation because I'm not the one who documented him, but from what I can remember, I believe out of the 11, criteria, he had the tattoo, he flashed the hand sign, he associated with one or more criminal gang members. He was identified by a reliable, documented, confidential informant. But I don't quite know exactly what all of the 11 criteria that he met, but I do know the ones that I named were some of the ones that, he obviously met.
And under the statute, you just have to meet 2, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And how many have you just listed for us?
I don't, 6 or 7, maybe, I'm not sure.
And you're
4.
going by memory. Would looking at the paperwork, would that help refresh your recollection?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you bring that with you
I
today?
did.
Can you take a look at it and then let me know when your memory's refreshed?
So the criteria that Charles Jones met was, he was identified by, as a documented, reliable informant. He adopts the style of dress of the criminal gang. He would flash the hand sign. He had the tattoo, and he associates with one or more known criminal gang members.
And what kind of tattoo did Charles Jones have?
He had several. The most noticeable one was the big number 6 on his neck, as you could see in that photo. And then he had, I think it was Osama over his left eye right here, which was in reference to another fallen member.
Of 6 Block?
Yes, ma'am.
And I'm going to show you states 84C, being assigned as the gang detective for 6 Block. Are you familiar with this particular chart?
Yes, ma'am.
Is this an exhaustive chart of members that have been documented by the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office of members belonging to 6 Block?
These are, just a few.
And members and associates, is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. And can we start, obviously this is Charles Jones in the upper left-hand corner. I'm gonna ask you about Adrian Gaynor. What was his nickname?
It was Bibby. He also went by Osama, which is the tattoo that he had on his, above his left eye.
So he also had a recognizable tattoo that was distinctive to 6 Block members, is that correct?
That's correct.
And what was the nature of the relationship, if you know, between Adrian Gaynor and Charles Jones, between Bibby and Julio?
To my knowledge, they were just very close friends. I don't know if they were actually like blood related. Bibby was quite a bit younger than Charles Jones, and Bibby was murdered in the apartment complex where Charles Jones kind of, I guess, essentially formed. Like
Is that the Hilltop Apartments?
Yes, ma'am.
That's the area known for 6 Block where they or where they come from and where they hang out, is that correct?
Correct. It's 1646 West 45th Street.
And then in the upper right-hand corner, Xavier Edwards.
Yes, ma'am.
Is he a documented member or an associate?
He's
of
a
6 Block?
documented member.
Okay. And what was his nickname?
It's Omerta.
And he was one of the individuals down here in Tampa with the victim at the time the victim was killed, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And then I'm going to ask you about Robert Howard. You familiar with Mr. Howard?
I am.
And is he a documented member of 6 Block?
He is.
And had he previously, before 6 Block was formed, was he associated with the predecessor of 6 Block, PCE?
He was.
Then I'm going to ask you about Jaquan Pickens. What is his nickname?
His nickname is Jake Jit.
And what is his membership or associated status in relationship to 6 Block?
He was a documented member of Bully Gang prior to him, passing away.
Now, I want to ask you about Bully Gang. We've heard a lot of testimony about 6 Block. Can you tell us about Bully Gang? Is that a documented gang in Jacksonville?
It's a documented subset of the criminal gang, 6 Block.
So what does it mean to be a subset of a criminal gang?
It's essentially like a smaller group within the larger organization, which would be 6 Block. And a lot of times, not all the time, it, consists of, a few or more people. But they oftentimes reference the same, hand signs, style that you dress, but it's, they might go by like a small little different name, or might be, in this case, like the guys who are under Bully Gang are like, 4 to 5 years younger than the, most of the guys that were documented under 6 Block.
And you've already talked about the predecessor group, PC, is that correct?
That's correct.
And again, when we're talking about PC, Problem Child Entertainment, were they an older group than Charles Jones and members of 6 Block?
That's correct.
But members of 6 Block friendly with PC, is that correct?
That's correct. It's just basically like the older version of 6 Block.
So what we have happening is younger generations, is that what is going on with these kind of new subsets that are popping up in these neighborhoods?
Yes, ma'am.
I'm going to ask you specifically about Don Julio. Are you familiar with that?
Yes, ma'am.
It's a drink, correct?
Correct.
Was there some significance with Don Julio in relation to Charles Jones, Julio in this case?
Yes, ma'am.
Was that a drink that was associated with him?
Yes, ma'am.
And after his death, did you start noticing that Don Julio bottle being utilized by his rival gangs?
I did.
Was there a rap video that was posted and produced by Young and Ace, a high-profile member of ATK?
There was. I believe it was called Game Over.
And was that Don Julio bottle, was that highly featured in that rap video?
It was.
And were there other postings by members of oppositional groups seen celebrating drinking Don Julio?
Yes.
I'm going to ask you about, you said that you, as part of your daily activities, you monitor social media accounts. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Are you monitoring the social media accounts of members of 6 Block and other gangs in Jacksonville?
Yes, ma'am.
Are you monitoring the drill rap videos?
Yes, ma'am.
Is that something that you utilize in your work as a gang detective?
Yes, ma'am, it is.
And is that something that is posted after either a homicide or an aggravated battery or shooting that occurs in this gang war?
Yes, ma'am.
Is there a monetization from these high-profile drill rap artists such as Julio that they get money based on the number of social media clicks that they get?
Yes, ma'am. I'm not exactly sure how that works, but to my knowledge, I know the more views they get, then, the more, money it is. But as far as the details of that, I'm not exactly sure how that works.
And is it frequent that these drill rap videos are posted after a oppositional member is shot and killed?
That's correct.
Your Honor, may I have one moment?
Yes.
Your Honor, we pass the witness.
Okay. Mr. Gonzalez, any questions?
Which one of these?
Detective, Don Julio is a oftentimes consumed alcohol or particular type of alcohol with the African American black community, especially in the rap culture, correct?
Correct.
So it was not specific to Julio's death, even though his first name is Julio, correct?
I think that we at the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office gang unit detectives, we interpreted that they were referencing Charles Jones's murder because it was immediately after. As far as what anyone else or another rapper, if they post a video, like I can't speak to that, but we took it as they were trying to throw shade towards Charles Jones.
And that was a direct relationship to the fact that Don Julio is a particular type of tequila, and his first name or street name was Julio, correct?
Correct.
And Bully Gang would have been the younger version of Six Block, who, in a certain sense, Charles Jones founded, correct?
That's fair to say, yes.
And his moniker was actually the name of the gang, Six.
Correct.
You would know of any other reason he would be called Six other than his relationship as the most prominent member of that group.
Along with the apartments that are located at 1646 West 45th Street, Hilltop.
You began in January 2022, correct?
That's correct.
Took both the beginner and the intermediate class with the Florida Gang Association.
Yes, sir.
Okay. The HIDA courses, they were courses that were rounded courses. Some of them had to do with gangs, some of them had to do with drugs, some of them had to do with social media. It's more of a general program. You can pick and choose what you want, correct?
Yes, sir.
You talked about the murder, I think it was in 2014, of Prosper Johnson, right?
Talked about it when?
Yeah, did I hear you mention it in your direct examination?
No, sir.
You did not? I'm sorry. You talked about Deontay Holsey,
No, sir.
okay? And Six Block as a gang was documented before you, correct?
Yes, sir. Correct.
Mr. Jones put out several drill rap videos himself, correct?
He put out numerous, yes.
Were some of his videos not drill rap, or were they all drill rap?
I believe there were a few that were, you could, like, they didn't fall under the category of drill rap. As far as the names, I don't remember what the names are.
That's what pretty much he was known for, though, was the drill rap type of video that disrespects other people, correct?
Yes, sir. Correct.
And that got him a little more notoriety, a little fame in the music world, more clicks is more money, that type of situation when you talk about monetizing, correct?
Correct.
And in When I See You, he's talking about, or he's saying that when I see you, I'm going to kill you, right? Is that how you interpret it? When he says, when I see you, and he talks about where he goes and what places he goes, and he's looking for you?
Are you referencing the song that he released?
I am, when I see you, yes.
That's not how I took it, no, sir.
Okay? So how did you take when he utilizes in that drill rap video, When I See You, and talks about driving down certain streets and carrying iron?
The way that I took it was his response from the ATK/1200 side of the song that they released. And then When I See You, I believe the original artist is Fantasia, which is it was a song years ago.
The mainstream song.
Correct.
Okay.
And he just that was his response to the ATK/1200 song that they, released, I guess, a week or several days prior.
When I see you, what am I going to do? I mean, I'm not sure what Fantasia, was doing when she said it, but when Julio Fulio says it, when I see you, means there's going to be a problem. I'm going to kill you. He talks about carrying iron down the street when I see you.
I mean, he talks about, numerous, lyrics throughout all his music, but if you take it that way, then that's the way
And you interpret it, I interpret it, but obviously you interpreting it, it's part of your job, right?
That's correct.
And so you obviously don't believe it was a threat.
No, sir, I do not. I believe it was a response to the other side's song that they released several days prior.
And when you talk about in these videos taking credit, what you mean by that is that after there's a shooting, after there's a murder, after there's a violent crime of some type, a drill rap video will be put out disrespecting that person, either who was shot or who died, correct?
Correct.
Maybe celebrating it,
Correct.
maybe saying that person deserved what they got, that type of thing,
Correct.
correct? That goes out to hundreds, thousands of people, right?
I mean, they put it on social media. As far as how many people, like view it, I can't answer that.
Well, you would know by looking at the
Correct. Yep, right.
the
Yeah.
amount of views, right?
Sure.
And it's crazy the amount of views it gets, right?
Right.
And that doesn't mean that that person who put out that video killed anybody, does it? It's
No,
not an
sir.
admission to a crime of any kind.
Nope.
Did you document Kenny Capps?
I redocumented him in 2024. Yes.
Okay, and that would have been after the 5-year period which he was originally documented, must have been in 2019.
Yes, sir.
At least, do you know if that was for the first time in 2019?
I believe he was first documented in 2019 whenever 6 Block was documented.
Do you know how he got his name?
Kenny Caps? No, sir, I do not.
How many criteria do you use, detective, before you document someone?
I try to use at least 4 or 5.
And every detective does their own thing when it comes to that, right?
Yes, sir.
Have you ever documented somebody with, by the use of a previously untested confidential informant?
I don't believe so, but I would have to go back and review, but I don't believe I have.
Probably wouldn't be the preferable way to meet that criteria, correct? Given other possibilities?
I mean, like I said, there's 11 different criteria. I guess it depends on that specific detective and what they are trying to accomplish whenever they, document that member for
Right.
whatever criminal gang.
And when you are in the company of one or more gang member 4 or more times, that's one criteria.
That's correct.
And if you associate with one or more gang member, that's one criteria, correct?
That's correct.
But you can fulfill 2 of those criteria at once, can't you?
I guess technically you could, yeah.
Have you ever used both of those criteria based on one circumstance?
One of the criteria that I always use is been in the presence of a criminal gang member 4 or more times, because at that point, me personally, I'm trying to prove whenever I document someone that if I can show 4 different times or more that they were around a documented, criminal gang member, that shows a pattern, but that's just a personal preference.
I know the law is the law, but you would agree with me, simply because someone is in the company of someone.
Your Honor, relevance.
I'm going to sustain the way the question's being phrased. He doesn't get to comment on the law. The law is the law.
Understood. So based on the criteria, if someone was in the company of a known gang member 4 or more times, that would make them a gang member, or that would meet that criteria on the way to making them a gang member, correct?
If we were trying to document that individual, because obviously there has been the questions, brought up in the past, there's been, guys who've never been in trouble and they're trying to do the right thing, but they're, associated or related to, say their brother is a gang member and, they've been on, 4 family vacations. I don't think those are the individuals that we're going to use that specific criteria to document that individual.
Would you also categorize in that same way someone who grew up with someone, raised together on the same street, played football together, might have ended up going to the different high schools, but they see each other multiple times a week for a variety of different reasons? Would you categorize that the same way?
I think personally, I think at a certain age, then I think that they know right from wrong. And if they continue to hang out with that individual and they're, living like the individual who's, previously documented, then I think that shows a pattern.
Living like that is one thing, but you would consider simply having an association with that person, even if you're adult, and saying, no matter my relationship with them the rest of my life, I need to not be around them simply because they are a gang member.
I mean, from what we see, and at least all I can speak to, my knowledge, usually when, they do that, it's posting a picture online, or they've been, in a vehicle and they've been, there was an officer who conducted a traffic stop, whether there was an arrest made or not, like that, to me, that shows a pattern that they are, like choosing to hang out with that individual versus them running into them at, the grocery store.
So they're hanging out with the wrong people.
Correct.
Nothing further. Thank you.
Any questions, Mr. Sonardi?
Yes, Your Honor, but I think
Good evening, Detective.
Good evening.
As I understand it, you've been with the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office over 10 years, pushing 11,
Yes, sir.
and of those years, 4.5 or more have been in the gang unit. Is that correct?
That's correct.
All right. Are you familiar with an artist by the name of Holly TV, Holli TV?
No, sir, I don't believe I am.
Are you familiar with a song by him titled Julio, where he's singing about Don Julio?
No, sir, I'm not.
It's had over 1 million views. You're not familiar with that?
No, sir.
All right. Prior to January of 2025, you had no contact with Davion Murphy, correct?
That's correct.
And you didn't even know who Davion Murphy was in January 25, correct?
That's correct.
Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Wise, any questions?
so, Your Honor.
Mr. Petridis, any questions?
Very briefly, Your Honor. Good afternoon, Detective.
Good afternoon.
Are you aware of, you talked about Mr. Jones's songs, are you aware of the song God Knows?
No, sir, I'm not.
You ever heard of that song?
I'm not saying I haven't. The name, it doesn't ring a bell.
So you wouldn't know any of the lyrics in that song?
Of that specific song, no, sir.
And are you aware of someone by the name of Mizzle?
I am.
Is he associated with 6 Block members?
Yes, sir.
Do you ever see him associate with ATK or 1200 members?
I have.
Do you know his real name?
I don't. I think his last name is Taylor, but as far as his first name, I'm not sure. But I just know him as his, nickname.
Yes, okay. Thank you, Detective. That's all I have.
Okay, redirect.
Yes, Your Honor. Detective McCulla, is Mizzle a documented gang member of 6 Block?
No, ma'am.
Is he an associate of 6 Block?
I guess you could consider him an associate.
Just based on the criteria, is that correct?
That's correct.
You have not documented him as a gang member, is that correct?
That's correct.
And you said you yourself don't document anyone unless they are for